Here's a phrase you'll have heard before: play the ball and not the man. And I'm not even talking in sporting terms, in terms of on the pitch. In this instance, I'm talking about David Moyes. I'm sorry, it's the same sort of thing as a confirmation bias. It's you've already made your mind up about David Moyes, so you're going to look to put the boot in on him where you can, rather than assessing a particular game or a particular situation and then sort of dissecting and assessing his performance within that. So, for instance, if we play a crap game, David Moyes makes terrible substitutions, we lose the game. Assess David Moyes on the game. If you feel at the start of, well, maybe the January transfer window, we didn't sign anybody, and then you get to the end, we haven't signed anybody, then you assess David Moyes on that transfer window. And I do understand that over a period of time, there's a longer game to play with him. Just after a while, people might have had enough of him as a manager. And because of that, they play the man rather than the ball. All right? And here's what I mean by this. So last night was just, I felt, good news in terms of West Ham. The only club in the European competition, in the Conference League, to have a 100% record. 2 consecutive seasons where we've not only got through to the knockout stage, but actually we bypassed the next dodgy round. We don't now have to play until March. My point is that's such good news. I just think surely it's I was going to say a time for rejoice. Maybe not that far, but we're pleased about that. We can move on to the next game. But some people have got it in for David Moyes to such an extent, even when we do something that I think in my lifetime is sort of unheralded, in West Ham terms, they still want to put the boot in on David Moyes because the agenda is already set. Because they want to play the man rather than the ball. And I was gobsmacked. It's quite funny. I don't particularly follow the game with anybody else. When I watch the game, I'm making a lot of notes during the game. So when I come on and do my review with Gio, I don't know what to expect. So you've got to appreciate when the live chat starts up, I just assumed everybody was going to be in a really, really good mood. I wasn't expecting the Moyes hate. I wasn't expecting somebody to say Moyes out. And it's not just that. They tag you in it. They say, oh, Gonzo, don't you think Moyes a dead man walking? And I am aware it's not everyone. I mean, far from it. I'm aware that most people, most fans were happy for us to get through. But it was still, I found it to be quite a difficult thing to deal with because I was just totally unprepared for it. I was really pleased with what I saw. What, the whole 90 minutes? No, but I can't think of a game when I have been off the top of my head. Maybe the Wolves game or the Leicester game, the 3 and 4 nils. I know someone's going to come back and say, hold on a second, that was when Moyes was ill with COVID. He wasn't even in the dugout. But there are not too many when we've been completely dominant. But actually, you take that away from the game and you take it as an overview of the Conference League and the group stage, and even back-to-back group stages. I never thought I'd see it in my time at West Ham. We're in the knockout stages again. I'm going to get into some individual performances in just a second, and in particular, I do want to discuss Nayef Aguerd a little bit. Before I do, what I want to do is shamelessly plug somebody who's sponsoring this video, and it's HelloFresh. Now, let me tell you about HelloFresh because I didn't know what to expect. I'll be brutally honest with you. When Gio approached me and said, I want HelloFresh, have approached us, they're going to sponsor a video. I didn't know who they were. I said, what are they? And as far as I was concerned, they were just somebody that delivered vegetables to your house. So I basically got an education in it. And here's what HelloFresh do. It's what I didn't know. Not only do they deliver the food to your house, and it's not just vegetables, by the way. So if I want to make a Thai curry, right, I go to HelloFresh. HelloFresh give me the recipe, so they give me the idea. And then within that, they will just give me the recipe. They'll give me the instructions on how to cook it. And they'll give me everything I need to make that Thai curry. It's not just one meal. When I got my box from them, there were 3 meals inside. And you choose those meals. And they change all the time. And once you got it, the instructions were good, the food was top quality, and actually it was relatively easy to cook, quick meals, and I've got to say, it says HelloFresh, all the stuff was really fresh. There's 2 things I really liked about it, though. Number one, it gave me ideas for recipes. As a dad here with kids here, I always seem to be cooking the same stuff. I thought it was really, really good. So it gave me the ideas for it. The other thing that was good was there was no waste on any of the food. I've got to be honest, when I go and do like a weekly shop, a monthly shop. I'd never do a monthly shop, actually, I'm talking about. I'd probably do a shop every 2 weeks. There's always something left over in the fridge. There's always some waste. I'm in the supermarket, I think, oh, green beans, that'd be a great idea. Do you know what? I'd never bloody use them. They go. I end up chucking them in the food bin when they start to go a little bit limp and a little bit off, like some other things I might mention. This is really good. Basically, everything you get, you use. So it might be a little bit more expensive, but thinking about it, I'm not throwing food away. Anyway, we've got a special offer for you at Hammers Chat. I'm going to read it out for you now. Basically, use the link below or just go on to HelloFresh. They'll ask you if at the end, have you got a discount code? You say yes, and basically the discount code is Hammers Chat, all one word, uppercase, capital letters. Here's the deal. Your first box, you get 50% off. Then you get another 35% off your next 3 boxes, plus you get 3 free gifts. It's a really good deal. Please go and check it out. If you do so and you like it, and if you're into your, it's all sort of biodegradable packaging. It's all very, very green. I'm not just talking about the broccoli here. If you like that sort of thing, go and check it out. There's a good discount code below, and hopefully, if enough people order it, then maybe they will renew their sponsorship with Hammers Chat. If not, then you've got yourself a really good deal on some really good grub. Anyway, let's talk about Nayef Aguerd, shall we? I'm very impressed. Far quicker than I thought he would be. Far, far quicker. I knew he had the leadership qualities. I probably bored you all by telling you already that I saw him, went to the Reading games, lucky enough to go and see there, and I could see then. I could see him communicate. I could hear him communicating. I was very lucky at the start of the game to be right near pitch side. It was quite evident that he's a popular guy. David Moyes alluded to it in his press conferences and in the interviews that David Moyes did. Popular guy. Very friendly, very likeable. I don't think it's easy to go into a football team and start... It's not bossing people about. It's not even ordering people about, but... organising people, giving instruction. I don't think it's easy any more than I think it's easy in any job. I think it'd be difficult to walk onto a building site and then start extolling your own way of doing things and basically saying, oh, I think you should do this. Can you do this? Can you go over there? You want to get your feet under the table. It takes a big character. It takes a big personality to do it in any place work. So I think that's very impressive. He's very comfortable on the ball. It's not just, by the way, it's not just the long raking passes. I knew he had that in his locker. It's actually the short passes. It's a calmness on the ball. And I'll tell you what, it's a hell of an asset to know that even if you're running and you're running at a pretty good speed, to know you've got an extra sort of 20% to accelerate up to get you out of trouble. Looks like a really, really good footballer. Does that mean he's a good defender? I don't know yet. Do you remember Philippe Albert, who was at Newcastle? Obviously, there'd be a lot of you thinking, no, I don't remember Philippe Albert, you old what's it? Really good footballer. I'll give you another one. Frank Leboeuf. Never sure he was a brilliant defender, but he was a brilliant footballer. Now, I don't know yet about Aguerd's defensive qualities. Let's be fair, he wasn't tested. But he looks to be a hell of a footballer, and I'm quite excited to see him develop at West Ham. Moyes was tracking him for 2 years, and there's got to be a good reason why. So, yeah, I was really, very, very happy with that. Happy with Conor Coventry, what we saw. I don't think it's going to be enough for him to force himself into the Premier League team, like particularly bearing in mind that Flynn Downs has done it. And obviously, you can use Flynn Downs as an example. Say, look, there's an example how you can get into the first team. And I do agree with that. However, there's another reason he can't, which is actually someone's just done it in his position. Almost, if you were Conor Coventry, you wanted the example to be in a different position, a fullback or a forward or something like that. It's pretty chocker in terms of central midfielders at the moment, but I was pleased to see him play like that. Gio made Lanzini's man and match. I was very pleased with how Lanzini played. I thought he was really, really good. Really kept the ball ticking over. And this is why I didn't want to sell him. I mean, we're going to really need him. We're going to rely on him to start every game in the Premier League. No, but games like this take the pressure off. I know we used Declan Rice later on in the game. I appreciate that. We really did. But that's fine. What's he using for? 7, 8 minutes, something like that? That's absolutely fine. David Moyes has spoken about, actually, in the last little while, about him not having any time on the training pitch. Well, that was like time on the training pitch for a lot of those players. That's a way to bed down, some of your ideas that you might normally work on. That's better than a training game. I know they weren't all that, and I was surprised by how little endeavour I think that they had. I'm talking about Silkeborg here, but it would have really been excellent practice. What does it put a Standards in good stead ahead of a trip to Old Trafford? I'm not so sure, but it's got to be better than some time on the training pitch. I've already spoken about Ben Rami. Don't need to hear me speak about him again. Really pleased. I thought that was good. Emerson, I was sort of less impressed with. I think he's going to have to do a little bit more to force his way into the first team. I do think, I know they play slightly different positions, but I do think Cresswell's a little bit better form than him at the moment. I almost thought he looked a little bit rusty. I thought Soufal looked really fit and sharp. I almost thought he looked a bit rusty, Emerson, maybe overhitting his passes a little bit. But I do think we've signed a decent squad player there. I don't think he's a world beater. I've got to say that now. I really don't. But I do think he's a decent squad player. And what do we pay? Well, I think they originally quoted as £13 million, Chelsea. I think we haggled it down and we got him for 11 or so. That's probably about right. He's a decent enough player. He really is. However, I was sort of less impressed with a few of the other players. I think Antonio needs a goal. He really does need a goal. I was desperate for him to get one. I didn't think he had a massive stinker of a performance. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't. He's not doing remotely enough to put pressure on Scamacca as the number one striker. And I thought that would happen. That turnaround has happened really rather quickly. I thought we'd probably start the season, Scamacca would be, that Antonio would be the first choice. And then I sort of got to a point, I wondered if it would ever be 50-50. I don't think ever I thought this quickly Scamacca would be the absolute favourite and Antonio would get nowhere near to him. But, I mean, he really is. He needs to score some goals. He needs to do a little bit more. I know he won the goal, won the penalty. But I think there's a lot of times that doesn't... Number one, it doesn't get given. Number two, it just doesn't happen. I do think it was rash from the goalkeeper. But again, he looked fit. He looked sharp. And that has to be something. So we just need him to find a little bit of form, really. Maybe he finds that... during the World Cup break, when a lot of players will be on the training field. Not everybody's obviously going to the World Cup. I think his biggest problem will be Scamacca's not going to the World Cup, so he's going to be on that training ground and playing well and learning as well. It was nice to see Ogbonna back. That was good, but I do think Areola... Areola was very commanding of his area. He was off his line very quickly. He had to make 3 saves when he needed to make them. And let's be fair, he had nothing to do all night. But when he needed to make those saves, he made them. And they were very, very impressive and very quick. But his distribution was excellent. There was one point where he seemed to throw the ball half the length of the pitch. It didn't actually work out, but it was a little indicator. And I look at that and I think, actually, that's what I want to see. Because you know what? When I see... Alisson play for Liverpool, that's what I see. When I see, it's Ederson, isn't it? I think it is anyway, plays for Man City. That's what I see. The distribution is quick. They want to transition, and it's accurate. And there's a creativity to it. It's not just always a punt up the pitch. So I'm really pleased with what I've seen from Areola. I do. Fabianski, I think, actually more or less is in good form at the moment. I think, it will make the odd mistake. Areola can make the odd mistake. But I don't think there's an awful lot between them in terms of shot stopping. But I do think what Areola offers with his distribution probably warrants him being in the team. And if what Moyes wants to do is transition into this team, and when I say this team, I mean a slightly more technical team, then I think he becomes part of that. When I mentioned with Aguerd is passing the ball in front of players, encouraging them to run onto it. It's not a square pass. He's basically passing, saying, you run onto that. Basically, the direction of Aguerd's pass prompts where he wants his teammate to run into. Paqueta's the same. It's going to take a little while because that's further on the pitch for people to get onto his wavelength. You can already see that Scamacca is. And this is what good players are like. Good players do recognise movement. They recognise the positions that each other and one another should be in. And I think that's really important. If David Moyes wants that in his team, then I do think Areola's probably the goalkeeper to go for. Final thing, I know he faded as the game went on, but it was so much better to see Pablo Fornals play centrally. He's so restricted when he's wide. I looked at it in that first half, and it wasn't just, I thought, Fornals is playing well, I couldn't help but watch it and think, it's almost unfair to play him there. I feel it's unfair to play him on the wing. I felt he was liberated by playing centrally. And just to go full circle, this goes back to what I was saying about playing a man, not the ball. That's a genuine gripe, okay, that I have with David Moyes. It's not like I think David Moyes shouldn't be criticised. Because this is the thing, everything is so linear, everything is so binary, everything is so black and white. So because I'm pleased, and this is what the comments were in the chat. Not, as I say, not all of them. They were particularly from 3 people. I've got to say that. But this is what the comments were in the chat. Oh right, so you're happy overall with David Moyes? I didn't say that. I'm just delighted to get through. It can be right, by the way. It can be right that I'm delighted to get through in the Conference League, and they're not mutually exclusive. And I can be annoyed that I thought we started off the game against Liverpool in the first half too negatively. They can both be true. I can hold both of those opinions. I just don't get it. And it's almost one of the most frustrating things that I deal with. It's not just about football. It's the modern world. That there's no nuance. There's no grey area. It's everything is very black and very white. You can actually hold both sets of opinions. I was pleased to see Pablo Fornals play in whatever it was, central attacking midfield, whatever he might have been playing, because I am frustrated with how David Moyes deploys him on the left wing. It's one of my frustrations with the manager. But overall, you've got to look at that European campaign, and I'm delighted. And I'll tell you what, I will finish with this, and I don't say this because I'm deluded or I think we're better than we are. I look at those other teams in the league, in the Conference League, and think we've got a real chance in this. And that doesn't mean I'm cocky about the Premier League. The Premier League worries me. I've got to say, I see much of a muchness about the Premier League. But I just think the Premier League is so awash with money now. There are so many teams, you've even got a promoted team like Nottingham Forest who come in and spend huge amounts of money. That actually the standard in the Premier League has really risen. So it's hard and it's a competitive league, and I think you can see that. I think, look at the Spanish teams in the Champions League. I think there's a balance shift. I think there's a shift in power, which is sort of happening at the moment. I do look at all those other teams in the Conference League. I think we can have a real go at it. And when David Moyes says the words, I'm going to try and win it, you know what? I believe him.